All right. We are live. What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Joe Hatagwa. I am a Sierra Leonean American currently in Sierra Leone. And if you want to know about the horrible experience I have had over the last week being here in Sierra Leone, then this is the video for you. All right. We are live. If you can hear me, give me a thumbs up and let me know where you're watching from. Again, if you guys can hear me, it looks like we just went live on all platforms. If you guys can hear me, give me a thumbs up in the comments and let me know where you're watching from. I see a bunch of folks joining on IG, some people joining on Facebook, YouTube. Yes, if you can hear me. Okay, so we got Corey, the curator. Looks like you can hear me. Geechee Girl says you gave me like a flex. We got Corey, the creator. Oh, wait, this is Corey Dupree. What's up, Corey? Central Pennsylvania. What's up, Corey? Welcome to the live stream. I don't know how often you join, but Corey is a fellow alumni of the boarding school I went to in Hershey, Pennsylvania. All right, we got Tomlin, you can hear me, and you're watching from Dallas, Texas. What's up, Dr. Sherry? Thanks for joining. Miss Turis is watching from Nebraska. Kojo is watching from Sweden. We got Cookton from Roselle, New Jersey. We got J.H. Niles from Oakland, California. Nikki from Baltimore. Let's see. Nelgo, I don't know how to, but anyway, from Jamaica. We got Ali from Florida. Hulk from Nairobi, Kenya. All right. B Mr. Booker from VA, Virginia, that is. Okay, we got Wolf Folk Joanna, in Los Angeles. So what we talking about today? We're talking about my terrible experience so far in Sierra Leone. We got to talk about it. As we always do, we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we use this as a chance to teach people to learn from my experiences. Joe did that, so you don't have to go through it, right? So Ray is watching him from Kenya. So we're going to talk about my experience, and we're going to make sure that you guys can learn from my experience so you don't go through what I'm going through. And then we'll do some other updates and just, have a chance to kind of talk about some things. So Sheiku's watching from St. Paul, Minnesota. Jojo is watching from Ohio. And we got Nubian Cutie watching from Florida. All right, cool. All right. Choice Lynette is watching from Maryland by way of New York City. All right, so we're going to talk about it. So where do I begin? So I am currently in Freetown, Sierra Leone. You guys might remember we went live 3 times, and we talked about a number of different things. We had the speech from Ibrahim Traore that we covered last Monday. Last Tuesday, we talked about the details of the attempted coup on Ibrahim Traore, and last Thursday, we talked about a number of different things, the deal that potentially is going to go through with Trump and Rwanda, and specifically Paul Kagame of Rwanda. So that was kind of what we talked about last week. And as you guys might remember, because we are in Sierra Leone. So let me walk you through what my plan was when I got here. And let me tell you why that was not executed. And this, again, is meant to help you guys better make decisions when you're planning to move to the continent of Africa, specifically West Africa, and specifically Sierra Leone in this case, and if you're planning to build. So first things first, my original goal was to set up a satellite. I have ordered Starlink internet, and I was planning to set up a satellite and work out of my house. When I got here, my first floor of my house that I'm building was to be prepared. And the goal was to be able to live and work out of there from day one since I got to the country. The other plan was to, on that, the other plan was to set up the satellite so I had really, really strong internet, much like what you have in the United States. Well, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. Sorry, Toby, you asked the question, why did Africa sell 50 acres to the Chinese people? We and you can't buy anything in China. It's forbidden. China only sells land to their own. We'll talk about that in a second. I do want to just make sure I called that out. I'm going to copy your question, and I'm going to pin the comment. Let's see if I can. Okay, so I want to make sure I get to that question. So Khadijah's watching from Ohio. Shout out to Khadijah. All right. So to end, okay. So I know. Sorry, just got this bit distracted, but I saw that question. And I wanted to make sure I got to it. So I get here, and the work is nowhere near complete. In fact, I've now been here for a little over a week, and I've been staying anywhere but my own property. Now, technically, I have a guest house on my property. I could be staying there. However, there are some things that have happened since. My caretaker has run away to some other foreign land. No, he's in between Guinea and Liberia at this point, as far as I understand. He may also be in Sierra Leone, not sure. But he did not pay my water bill. They cut off water supply to my house. Trick. So there's no power. Now I can go pay to get the water reinstated. I can go pay to get the electric done. But it'd be a nuisance and really, really challenging to get in there and get going. Now, here's the lesson. 2 lessons here. 2 lessons. Let's start with the fact that my water was cut off and housing and my electricity is cut off. What I have discovered here, specifically in Sierra Leone, and you may see this in other parts of West Africa, level of complacency that can happen. They sometimes say familiarity breeds, what is it, or mediocrity, or whatever the phrase and terminology is. You guys, I don't know it, but I'm sure somebody can put it in the comments. So this young man who I had on site for 5 years, I paid for his wedding. I paid for his wife to come from Guinea. I've paid in full for go to Guinea for medical treatment, helped pay for her hospital stay when she got medical treatment in Sierra Leone, additional money for her to go to Guinea. Unfortunately, she passed according to the caretaker. That I don't know 100% to be true. And I paid for him to go to Guinea. Now, throughout the 5 years, I allowed him to stay on my property rent-free. And the agreement was, we're not going to pay you to stay there rent-free because you get to live there rent-free. He had a job already as a mechanic. And so the idea was free, you don't pay rent. You work as a mechanic, so you have income coming in. All I ask that you do, okay, familiarity breeds contempt, which is actually an even more important concept, really where I think it got to. But it also breeds complacency and other things too. So, somebody who I felt like, from the beginning, when I first met him, he had been fired by my cousin's wife. And, sometimes she's a little bit prickly, she doesn't get along well with others. So I presumed that his firing had more to do with her than him, because he and my cousin got along really well. They drank together, they partied together, they hung out with each other. And so because of the relationship that the two of them had, when it came time for me to buy my land and I was looking for someone to be a caretaker, I asked about 3 or 4 people, including that cousin. And they all said he should be good enough to stay on your site. And so he stayed there. And so I even hung out with him, went out with him to different events, parties, things like that. when I was in town, I would go to some of the spots that he frequented. I even brought him to a holiday party. A friend of mine had a holiday party. I brought him up. Everyone else's drivers had to sit outside. I brought him inside and said, eat with us, hang out with us. He became friendly with some of my friends. I kept finding is that he got, the first 2 years of having him around, he would drop everything he was doing whenever I came to Sierra Leone, and he was with me 24/7. Anything I needed, he was there. There was a few challenges here and there. Sorry, I just ate something. I'm having acid reflux right now. For a while I thought, okay, this seems to be working out well. I don't know why she fired him, but it seems to be working for me. He would drive me wherever I needed to be driven. If the car had issues, he would fix the car. And so that was the first 2 years of a relationship. Now the last 3 years have been challenges. And, everything from he wanted to start a business. Could I give him startup funding to start a business? I did that. He kept saying that his company wouldn't pay him. He needed income. So I started giving him money. Anytime he asked for it, I'd give him something. That's $100 here, $200 there. And over the last 5 years, outside of, anything pertaining to things that needed to be done around the house, over the last 5 years, I probably spent about $7,000 or $8,000 outside of the expected money that he was expecting from me from other things that we were doing. And kind of like, I'm giving you transport, a little bit of extra money for doing this errand, all those kinds of things. Outside of that, for unexpected expenses, I probably spent about $8,000, right? If I count it all up, I've tried to do some of the math to look at it. And unfortunately, it became more and more, what's the word where people expect something from you? I can't think of the word right now, but basically he would come to the point where if I couldn't do it, he would be upset. And he was the type of person that would call you if he needed something, and he would call you. I have literal call logs of him calling me 15 times. Entitled is the word I'm looking for. Thanks, Jasmine. See, that's that MBA education. Shout out to Jasmine watching from Atlanta, Georgia. What's up, Jazz? That's that MBA. That was it, Michigan State University MBA, if I remember correctly. So yeah, or just a reader. You're a big reader, I know that. So let me look for the missed calls from this gentleman. So yeah, I remember one time I looked at my phone and it was 11 calls in a row. 11 calls in a row. I pick up the phone, right? And I'm like, look, man, you called me 11 times in the middle of a workday. I can't end right now. And he's like, well, I really need this money right now, right? So I sent him the money. He does not call to confirm or call to say thank you or even message me to say thank you. He just took. Now, what was the money for, you might ask? Good question. Let me answer that. So there were 5 things I needed done at one point in time. I needed to pay the water bill because it was outstanding. I needed to pay electricity at the house. He said he needed medicine because it was so bad. His stomach was in so much pain. He was telling me he was going to die. Right. And so I said, okay, show me the medicine that you purchased with the money that I sent. He was also supposed to have somebody clean the compound because he was big on drinking. We have these energy drinks mixed with alcohol. So kind of like a Four Loko, but we have them here in country. And so he would drink all day. And there's cans like all over the property, right? And so he was supposed to have someone clean that up. Now, this is while I'm in New York, right? So this is over the phone. We're talking. So I said, yeah. So when the money is sent, I want you to take video or pictures showing me that it's been cleaned up, because he took pictures of it beforehand. But the interesting thing is, right, the fact that he was called urgently for something that wasn't that urgent was an issue. But I figured maybe it was because of the medicine, right? Because the medication he needed, let me hurry up and get that to him. So I got into him that night. So for the next 3 weeks, every time he would call me about something different, I'm like, don't call me about that. Show me the receipts that you pay water, you pay for the electricity, and you got your medicine, and you got the guy to clean up. And there was one more thing that I'm not remembering because this is like 4 months ago. So over and over and over again, we had this discussion, and he would continue to not do that. Right. Over and over and over again, we had the discussion. He was not complying or giving me the receipts. Then he tells me his dad had some land that he gave to him. He wants to go sell the land. Once he sells the land, he'll pay me back for paying his transport to go out there to sell the land. I said, you need to show me proof of purchase, proof of intent, that somebody's going to buy that land. I am not going to just give you money to go there. A week later, his wife died. Right now, most of the time, we don't expect that somebody would, maybe a grandparent or something, because that's a little bit easier to say, it's likely that they passed. But he said his wife died. Now, his wife went to Guinea because she was very sick, and I did help to pay for her to go to Guinea. She would also message me in French and ask for help. And so, and she was young, she was in her maybe early to mid 20s. And so the money was sent to him to go to Guinea. After, by the way, he still hadn't produced any of that stuff. At first, part of the way there, figure out the rest of the way. But then I was, look, if she really had passed and he needed to go for a funeral, I can't hold that against him, right? So I gave him money. He goes to Guinea, and he put someone in his place at the house. So he's gone from Guinea. He still has not returned, by the way, and that was like 7 or 8 weeks ago. But when he got there, he was like, I need to come back, and I needed him back at the house. And I was like, well, figure out your way back. You're a grown man. You had a job. Your job was supposed to pay you. You have other people that we know who you can reach out to that can help you. Call them, reach out to them. They can give you money. We have mutual people. In fact, the cousin who he was really friendly with, I'm like, call him. When I was in Ghana in January, I met up with someone who I met through him. His wife is a lawyer. He used to work at the ports. He's a serious person, right? He moved to Ghana to put his kids in a really good school, international school there. So he and I met up. I was like, call him. So he doesn't call him, right? So he calls me again, over and over and over again. That's what I meant to do, is actually show you guys the call log. So he still does. So, but I needed him back in Freetown. So of course I sent him the money to come back to Freetown, right? So what he does is when I send him the money, the next day he says he was robbed. He was robbed, and everything but his phone was taken, of course, right? Because how else is he going to talk to me? And then he says, he needed me to send more money. And so at that point I was like, yeah, no, that's not happening. So I didn't send him any more money. Now, throughout the years, all the stuff that I had done for him, I felt like, look, he had done some things, like when we ship stuff, he'd go pick it up, he'd service the vehicle. But there was always one excuse after another, after another, after another. And at some point, it got to a point where, here we go. You guys want to see a crazy call log? Do you see this? Do you see this call log? So 1, hi, 2, 3, voice note, 4, voice note, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I think then I sent a voice note, then 8, voice note, then 9, 10, 11. So you see, and there was more. Okay, so you see, call. I respond, I can't talk. Call. Right? That was his style, right? He would just call and call and call. You see, look, all voice note, all these calls and voice notes. You see that? Everything was always so urgent. Everything was always so urgent. Um, yeah, it's crazy to look at this now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That was 8. So sorry, maybe I exaggerated. I said 11. 8. 8 times in a row. And so the lesson here, as BES Ancient says, and that's not exactly the lesson, but this would be, it says, the advice for anyone trying to do something in Sierra Leone is trust no one. They will do everything well from the start. And once they gain your trust, you're done for. Now, that is not necessarily true with everyone. But what I will say is this. One of the things that you may have to do is bring in new blood, and you're going to have to cycle people in and out. Because unfortunately, many times that complacency, and that's a struggle anywhere, right? I mean, people get complacent at any job anywhere around the world, right? But specifically in this case here, what you find is that people become entitled, right? And once you don't do something, now you become evil. You're a bad person now once you say no. And there's so many other things that I cannot talk about right now, specifically pertaining to like police cases and things like that. Not necessarily with him, but with other people. I will talk about later, but I just need to figure out some things before we have those conversations. But this was a real big challenge, right? Like, dealing with this, so that was the first issue. So because of that, I don't have water at the site. And that's really, 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 really unfortunate because, I need water, right? So right now I'm staying at Pearl Hotel, the Overflow. You guys might know anytime I'm in Sierra Leone, I go live from Pearl because they've been kind enough to allow me to use their penthouse suite to go live. I'm not in the penthouse suite right now because I'm already staying here in one of their Overflow apartments. And so I'm here for now, but generally I would go over to the penthouse suite and go live from there. And so, yeah, I mean, that was one of the issues, right? So coming back, and so today was in the area where the house is. I spoke to some people and had some very interesting conversations. One of which a woman said that she knows his wife really well. His wife is alive and well, according to this woman. That's the word on the street. Other people told me that his plan was originally to move to Guinea because he was going to be able to get a job there. So it's seeming as if he used he said that his wife died so that he could go out there and that he could quote unquote get this job, but maybe the job didn't work out and that's why he reached out to me. And by the way, guys, the funny thing is I am the least gullible of all people you'll meet when it comes to dealing here in West Africa. I generally don't give all the money for anything. I always give a portion of it. So if you have services being done, I give a portion of what is due and I ensure that everything gets done before I give everything. But in this case, right, with someone who I've known this long, and generally, I mean, look, there was mishaps years, the third year, whatever. Most of the time I was disappointed by him was not in terms of me giving him money, but more in terms of him falling through on his commitments, because he was very immature, childish, and very much would not follow through on many of the things that he says he was going to do. And, but that was something that you find pretty frequently, around these parts with folks that are, low skilled workers or, folks who haven't shown that they can complete anything of any substance, right? So you kind of get what you pay for and you get who you hire, right? But the biggest thing when I would talk to people, and this is the unfortunate thing here in this country, is that when you talk to folks, they'll tell you, well, as long as he doesn't steal, then you deal with all the other headaches, right? As long as the person doesn't steal, you deal with all the other headaches. Look, I say all that to say this. I tell that story for all of you listening, not because I want to trash the country that I love so much. Like I say, I always represent it every day. Sierra Leone is on my wrist literally 7 days a week. If you ever want to know where I'm from, The flag is on every day, 7 days a week. Uh, so I love this country. I will always have land here. I will always recommend people get their citizenship here and to come here. But I do say all this so that you know how to deal with things in country. And now that I've talked about that, let's talk about what you can do differently that I did. Number one, first and foremost, is do not trust but verify. You know, there's a saying that people say trust but verify. Don't trust but verify. Number one. Number two, pop up. Do not tell people when you're coming. Pop up and see how things are when you're not around and without telling them what to do, or people are doing the things that they say they're doing. Okay. Number three is you're going to have to rotate people in and out. You cannot stick with the same people for years and years and years on something. For whatever reason, almost always complacent and work begins to slip. And that's in many different areas. That's not just with low-skilled workers. A lot of times that can happen with high skilled because there isn't a lot of competition. The way I equate it is, think about the cable companies. Pick a city in the state in the United States. How many people are there? You guys are all over the states right now. And there are people from all over the world. In the United States, technically they say it's not a monopoly, right? Because there's technically in every single region, there's like more than one cable service. But you guys notice how the prices always go up, but there are less channels available, or you know, the customer service is bad, or the programs that they offer are BS. Well, that's because there's not a lot of competition, so they don't have to improve. They don't have to bring their prices down to compete with other people because there's so few of their. Well, that happens here in Sierra Leone as well. You'll find that there are going to be people who operate that way because there isn't a lot of competition. Now, saying that's OD. 15 pasmak calls. That means like that's another word for OD in Sierra Leone Creole. What sucks is that there are some great Sierra Leoneans who wouldn't do stuff like this. There are. So the question that Two Visions has, is it even worth it? It is worth it. You just need to know what to do differently. You know, I do these live streams every once in a while to talk about the challenges that I have in country here when I was in Ghana too, the same challenges I would have in Ghana, but I would always do it so that I would tell you guys what to do differently, right? So you can learn from my lessons. So in this case, yeah, so those are the things that I would say to do. Now, separately, the house is still not done yet either. That's another challenge. So what I would say is this too: if you are building a house anywhere that you are not, right now we're talking about West Africa, but in general, you need to go there for stints of time to ensure the work is being done to the quality that you want and at the speed that you want it done. Okay. I'm very good with verifying videos. Send me videos. But you know what people can do? They can send you videos of partially done work. So like if someone says the bathrooms are done and you have 3 bathrooms and somebody sends you a video of 1 bathroom, nope, I need all 3 bathroom videos. Or if someone says, you know, the mastic in the house is done, and they send you a picture of just, or video of just the living room and the dining room, I need video in the bedrooms. I need video in the bathrooms. Or if someone says, you know, we're almost there, it'll be done by the time you come. So get that list of what needs to be done and timeline for everything, and follow up with those timelines. So me, every time I have a conversation with someone, I write it down, and then I follow up with the timelines for everything. But because I've been gone for 6 months, last time I was in Sierra Leone was December 26th, 2024, right? I got here May 4th or so. In that time frame, first of all, I paid my last payment in January. So the house should have been done latest in February. I got here in May. It is still not done. And that's because when you're picking a contractor, you want to pick a contractor that has multiple jobs. That means that they're busy, and that means that people trust their work. The challenge that you'll have with that, though, is that they're going to be spread thin. That means they may not be able to come to your site multiple times a week in order to make sure everything is happening in a timely manner. That means that they're going to have someone on site that is meant to manage that process. Those people on site on speed. The good thing about being here is that you can go to the site. You can be on site. You can ensure quality. You can ensure timelines are being met. You can check in with the guys and ask them, when is this going to be done? When is that going to be done? And you can hold them to it. When the person that is involved in making sure it's up, people tend to work. They get stuff done. That's probably the biggest piece of advice I would give if you're building remotely, is to definitely show up unannounced and often. So that's the biggest piece of advice I would give. I'll give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek of the house. I'm working on a series right now called Building a House in Africa, and I am going to start posting them in 3 weeks. So I'll keep you guys posted about that. But you guys will get a chance to watch from the beginning, from the day that I purchased the land all the way to today. But I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek, since you guys are joining the live stream and you're watching the live stream back. For those that are watching, I feel like I should show you guys a little bit of a sneak peek of what we got. Now, I'm happy with how it looks. I'm just not happy with how long it's taking to get done. But we'll do that. We'll do that. I'll show you guys, since I came up with the topic of this live stream literally 5 hours ago. I thought maybe I could show it to you guys. So we are going to show you a little bit of a video. Oh man, it's really hard to see unless you're up close. All right. So the land is a mess, as you can see. And I'm sorry if you guys are watching on TikTok, but can you guys see this? Boom, we are in the house. Now, this will be a video one day, but you guys get an idea. Now, it looks good, but it's not done. It's not inhabitable as of yet. The people that are working there are on site, but you can see, so this is the master bathroom. So you can see inside the master bathroom, sink, toilet, shower. The shower still needs to have a delineation. The ceiling still needed to be done. This was like 2 days ago. And this video is silent right now, but I'm going to do a voiceover for this when I show it to you. But anyway, that's it for now. I'll show you guys that. So everybody's been asking what the house progress looks like. That's a little taste of it. So it's been about a year since we dug, we broke ground, and that's how far we've gotten. But again, it was supposed to be done in February. Exactly a year from when it started was March. So we anticipated that it could maybe flow into March, but we're at May now, and it's not done yet. And so, I am being patient as much as possible. And I also have to try to be understanding, because, my contractor has a million different jobs he has going on. And, this is why with my former contractor, I knew he got distracted. So when people would ask me to, I was like, I can't do that, because if he brings on more people, my stuff won't get done. But with this contractor, he has a big social media presence and he's good at what he does. The thing is just the timelines are slow right now, because he's working on maybe 6 projects at the same time. So moving slow. Yeah, moving really, really slow. But I will say quality of work is pretty good. It's pretty good. Better than most of the stuff I've seen. So a couple things that people have been writing. Comments are coming in late. What do we have here? Oh, sorry. Face there, and you may be about to explain what, but why do you need a caretaker? I hope I explained it. So when it comes to buying land here, so the first thing you do anywhere in West Africa, and generally around Africa, from what I understand, is you put up a fence around your property. Now, in West Africa, we tend to call it a fence. It doesn't look like a white picket fence like in America. It is a cement wall, generally about 10 plus feet high, with either electrical wires or wire around the top. So that's what you do. You still want to have someone on site, though, to operate as a deterrent from other people jumping in and stealing stuff. Also, you have a caretaker on site so that when you have contractors coming in and their employees and their staff there, you have someone to watch them and to watch on your behalf. You have people watch other people. And they operate as, like I said, as a deterrent and somebody. You also may have to get security, which I am working on right now. I'm going to have armed security on site because it's something else that I cannot talk about now, but I will talk about it later. But there will be armed security on site. And yeah, we will get into that soon. There's a couple of different things that I've been holding back talking about because I just need to finalize some things. When they're done, I got story time for you guys for sure. I got so much to tell you. But yeah, so that's why you need a caretaker, right? You need someone to be able to watch. You know, like one of the things that you find building remotely, and these are horror stories that people talk about all over West Africa. And I use West Africa as the example just because I've lived in Ghana, lived in Sierra Leone, and I know many people in Nigeria building in Nigeria. So when I speak about West Africa, I'm generally talking about those three countries. But when I talk to other people from Cote d'Ivoire or Ivory Coast, however you want to describe it, Benin, Togo, similar challenges arise. But most of the people I know are West African. But I hear some of these things also apply to Kenya and other places as well. People who are building on your behalf will tell you they're going to buy 50 bags of cement, and they may only use 25 bags of cement, and the other 25 get used to build their own house or another structure that they're working on themselves. It happens all the time. And in order to make sure that you know somebody is counting all those bags and how they're being used, you want to have somebody on site and watching. Now, my former caretaker sometimes was there, but he liked to get drunk and he liked to be gone most of the time. However, his wife would always sit and watch, and she would be counting. So I've gone through 4 contractors. I'm on my 4th contractor. And, you know, I've always had someone there just kind of paying attention to what's happening just to ensure that, you know, everything is above board and happening as expected. So that's why you need a caretaker. All right, let me get to some of the questions and concerns from the group. Knowledge Seeker says you're better off buying a 3D printer to print your house to avoid it. That would be a way of avoiding cowboy builders. The only challenge with that is getting the 3D printer here and actually doing it. I mean, I've seen some of this stuff on like Instagram and stuff like that, but you know, a lot of these are in beta test mode and they're talking about building affordable housing all around the world, it's like California and different places like that. But getting something like that here, servicing it, and also ensuring that it has all the proper whatever materials, tools, and pieces, very difficult. So yeah, I think we're probably 15 years away from that. Sheku says it looks great. The disaster is trusting people and not going from start to finish. Yeah. Jada Faith says, do you do travel consultations for Sierra Leone? I do. I do have a consultation link in the description of the YouTube video. If you watch the playback, there is a link in the description. You can book some time with me. I do. Real Source says armed security. That's right. Armed security. Yes, we will have security with a gun, generally like a, you know, AK. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. There'll be armed security. Yes. Knowledge Seeker says, are you building a house or a bank with bullion? Are you building a house or a bank with bullion? I'm not sure I understand. Can you rewrite that question? I'm not sure I understand. Maybe do you guys understand that question? I don't. Sometimes I just don't understand. Okay. Is it Abraham? I think. Okay. That's common sense. Why he needs a caretaker to care for the property while he's not there? I mean, come on, you guys. when people ask questions, you see, this is why people don't ask questions. I didn't read this question. I didn't read this response before I put it up there, but it's unnecessary to be so harsh in response to someone. When somebody asks a question, there are no bad questions. There are no the only stupid question is the one that's not asked. And the only way you learn stuff is you ask. But when people are like that, then people don't want to ask questions. So that's not okay. Anyway, moving on. Catherine Smith says, "Hey Joe, thanks for sharing the truth about what to expect when building in West Africa. In addition to the documentary, how about a book too?" A book's coming. Sure, a book will be coming. And a real documentary. I mean, like, yeah, I'm documenting the process of building the house, but all that stuff is coming. I thought about doing a book about my life story so far. I've lived 5 different lives. You guys would not believe the lives that I've lived. You guys only get the move to Africa part of my life and everything since. But man, life has been a whirlwind for me. I got a lot of stories to tell about resilience, about persistence, about, all the things. But yeah, I mean, as far as a book is concerned, I mean, much of what I talk about, I can take the transcripts of the videos and actually turn that into a book. So I'll likely do that. Yeah, I'll just have to take out the parts about costs. But yeah, I'll probably put a book together for sure. If people want to read it, I realize that people are more willing to watch videos than they are to read. But Catherine, I will take that in consideration, a book. No problem. Two Vision says, the caretaker unfortunately had a home broken into after it was built. I'm telling you, it's a trust no one game. And for real, armed security 100. Even my security dogs were killed, poisoned, and one eaten. Yikes. Now, this is which country? This is in Sierra Leone? Two Visions? Because that's wild. Sheku says, because of the armed security. Wait, what does this have to do? What is this getting to? I might have missed something. Sheku says Sierra Leone and Nigeria are identical in integrity challenges. African countries are better. Bearing my soul, and that's soul like Seoul, Korea spelled. Yes, it seems like a single person without a ton of family already established on the continent. It's just folks getting hustled again and again, and that's assuming your family is trustworthy. Said this all happened in Sierra Leone. Yeah, so look, we tell you these stories so you don't have to go through what we've gone through, and that you can ensure that you can learn from our mistakes. They say a wise man or wise person learns from others' mistakes. So take it from us, those of us who've gone through some of these things. And by the way, much of what I do is based on other people's mistakes, not sending all the money up front. A number of different things that I do because I've learned from also not visiting, throughout the years. I didn't start really doing any major work on the house until I lived in Ghana. Right. And when I was in Ghana, I would come to Sierra Leone for a month at a time. I would be here, all of April and half of May. Sometimes I'd come in June. Sometimes I come over the summer. I'd come in like March or February. I'd come in December, and I'd stay for like a month at a time, or a couple of weeks, but a month at a time in April to May. And then also in December into January, I would always be here for about a month at a time. And I realized that by doing so, I got so much more done on my property when I would do that. The problem is finances weren't there to really take on a real major project with a real serious contractor. And so that's why being back in the States in my old career was able to cover that cost. All right. So let's see. There's comments and still questions still coming in. If you do a book, I suggest workbook style. One with checklists and process maps. Now you give me work extra work. But no, I mean, I think some version of that probably makes sense. So should I talk about this now? No, I won't talk about it now. Just be on the lookout for things like that coming soon. All right. I will say the AuthenticAfrican.com has been relaunched. I don't know if you guys were aware of this, but maybe I should just show it to you because I don't think too many people are aware. I am gonna have to do some work on the aesthetic. So forgive me for how the site actually looks. This is the old version of the site, but we're back live, guys. We're back live, and we have different collections. We're gonna have an AES collection. We have collections by different countries. I did an AES collection because AES is on the top of mind today. A Pan-African collection, stuff made by Black Americans. We have different products, like we have shea butter, masks, jewelry, baskets, carvings, collectibles, soaps, black soap, all of that. So if you scroll down on the front page, you'll see these. So you click on any one of them, it'll take you to the shea butters. What do I have? I got some shea butter. Okay, cool. And some black soap, shea butters, and so butters and soaps and lotions and whatnot. Then I have, so you have all these different collections here, and then we have collections by country too. So let's go to Senegal baskets. What's in stock? So we have these baskets from Senegal. But you guys get the idea. So if you want to buy ethically sourced and made products from the continent of Africa, they're here. And then those of you who have your West African food fix and want to get rice flour, or you want to buy red palm oil or red beans, I have Authentic African Food Market as well. So you can, and this is delivered anywhere in the United States today. We're working on other countries and international shipping. But yeah, so we're back live, and it's been a long time coming. Everything that you see on site is in stock currently. I just had my person who does all this for me finish this. So is it better to do this? You can see it a little bit better. Here. You can read more about us. The blog is there's no longer a blog. But yeah, this is where you can find everything. You want to shop the AES collection? Do I have the AES collection set up yet? Nope. I got to get that set up. But I do have a Burkina Faso collection. Let me see. If I type in Burkina Faso, let's see what we got. Do I have a Burkina Faso collection? Oh, yeah, they're not here yet. So stay tuned. Those products are coming. Yeah. Okay. So those products are coming. But yeah, so AuthenticAfrican.com is live, and you can find, I need to change this image. You see, it's the wrong size. Like I said, this is based on the old site. It's been some time. But yeah, so if you want to shop by country, all these countries, there's stuff from each country available. So stuff from Ghana here. But yeah, so if you want to buy African handmade, authentically African handmade and ethically sourced, then AuthenticAfrican.com is for you. Okay, so back to the comment. Says you can find an honest person and your relatives will be the ones convincing him to dupe you. Sure, that does happen too. We're talking back about the caretaker. That can happen from time to time. Look, I will say this. One thing we do have to understand is why these things are happening, right? Most people don't have a living wage. The average income in Sierra Leone is $50, and $50 per month does not get you a really be able to live off of, if you're really being real. Most people, I mean, I think that income at $50 a month is about what a big bag of rice would cost. And so it's just very challenging for people. And so what you have is that's why there's so much remittance, which is money going back to your country of origin. It's so much of it because there's so many people living with lack. People are housing insecure or unhoused. People are underemployed or unemployed. And so, those are working don't get paid. And so when you have that scenario, you're going to have folks that operate in this way. In the underprivileged areas of the United States, you find very similar circumstances to some degree. People with their hands out, people willing to cut corners, people willing to rob and steal. These things happen in these areas where people are impoverished, right? People act out of desperation, and so you have to understand that that will happen, and so you just need to protect yourself from the possibility of that happening. Khadijah says, "Are blackouts still happening?" They are. They are. So I also have to put up fuel in my generator and all that other stuff too. My generator needs fuel in it, and I think it needs to be serviced. It's been 6 months since it's been used, and I'm sure it's not ready. So over the next couple of days, I'm going to be going back there and getting it ready so that when I do get there, I can stay there for at least a week. IAS production, I am not posting that on my screen. Sorry, but I understand that's how you feel. Yes, good evening. I apologize for being late. No problem, Manelik. Thanks for joining. Also, what I do want to say to those of you who have joined, what's this called? Let me get this right. Sorry. Who joined the membership too. I want to thank you guys for joining memberships on YouTube. So I'm going to call your names. The Real Source, who's been commenting today. Jada Faith, who've also been commenting today. Ernest John, FOI Mohammed, and TN Sunshine. Those are all the newest and latest members on YouTube. So you guys can join and become members as well. As of right now, we don't have a ton of new different stuff that we're offering to members, but we will be soon. I got to take everything one step at a time. It's been difficult. All right. Getting the site back up, traveling, working on the house, and then so many other things that I'm dealing with that, like I said, I can't talk about it. But I will tell you, guys, I am going to have a comprehensive documents or videos coming about what it's like to move to the continent, what you need to do, how you need to do it, where you could potentially move. I'm going to be putting some stuff together. So stay tuned to that. Of course, I've been going live and I've been talking about this stuff every once in a while. But what I find is that people don't get the chance to watch every live stream or don't get a chance to catch up. And so it probably makes sense to put it all in one repository and make it available for anybody who wants to access it. So that's what I'm going to do. Specifically for those who are willing to either get to that later. We're not there yet, but we'll get to it later. The real source at the join channel brings value. This is the Real Source who happens to be a member, which I appreciate. So yeah, we're looking to help as many people as possible make the decision to move on the continent of Africa. I also realized I didn't really introduce myself for those who were new and joining. I don't even know. Some people might be watching and didn't get my intro. At this point, I guess it's a little bit late. But I will just say that I'm building a house in Sierra Leone. I have 5 acres of land and have another 4 town lots as well. That's in Sierra Leone. And we're looking to make some investments in Ghana as well. So stay tuned to that. Now, to the question that came up earlier from Toby Hero Sr. Why did Africa sell 50 acres to the Chinese people? We and you can't buy anything in China. Forbidden. China only sells land to their own. Now, what this is referencing is on the top of my Instagram page, I have a pinned post where I said I bought 5 acres of land, right? And I mentioned that on one side of my property is a Chinese company has a solar farm that they're building, and they bought 50 acres of land. Now, the reason for that is because they spent some money to invest in the country. They are bringing something to the country with solar. That's why the 50 acres of land was sold to them. What else are they going to do? Probably build factories, probably do other things that are going to also add to the infrastructure of the country. Now, China doesn't need us to go there to do that because they've already done that on their own. So it's different, right? When you're a country that is in need of resources and services, you're more willing to do things for another country that they would never allow you to do for them. And that, unfortunately, is just the honest truth. As much as I'd like to say, we should reciprocate as a continent in general, we should reciprocate how people treat us everywhere else. It's just unrealistic because the countries all need things. And so a lot of times the things that are needed can come from other countries that have spent 40 years developing them. And so in these has that upper hand. Now, if the continent of Africa ever decided to become the United States of Africa, which I've been talking about frequently over the last few months, then you could see a very different perspective. Africa operating and actually operate as since we're the true holders of all the world's wealth, to be honest with you. And if we all work together to ensure that it actually on the continent and we natural resources, then we're in a whole different game. Unfortunately, the natural resources come out of the ground here and are refined elsewhere. And until that changes, other countries are going to have the upper hand, and they're going to have policies that we do not reciprocate on the continent of Africa. It just is what it is. Hopefully that answers that question. Anybody who disagrees, feel free to share your thoughts, but that's what I know to be true from my own experience. Robert Grissom says, regarding blackouts, no generator equals no electricity for people in the Goderich Lumley area for almost a month. True? Not no electricity for almost a month, but definitely sporadic. Yes, sporadic electricity. For those, I have a friend who lives in Lumley Road, number 9, in that area, and they've had light. I have another friend who lives in Regent Road, Lumley, in that area. They have had light. So I would say no light. I think it's sporadic. But yeah, having a gen is going to absolutely be necessary because, challenging times. All right. I know we started a couple minutes late. How late did we start? Okay, we started 4 minutes late. So we got about 3 more minutes, and we're going to draw this thing to a close. Any other questions, comments, concerns, thoughts from the audience? Anything? Let's see if there's any comments I missed. I don't know. I don't think so. No questions, no comments, no concerns. You know what always happens, right? I ask that, and then when I go to end the live stream, 2 questions got there again. Okay, there we go. Here's a question. Bearing My Soul says, can you remind us who you bought land from? Was people you knew? Which one? Right? So yes and no. So let's start with the land that I bought in the capital city. That was purchased actually from family. I found out that my mother's siblings and a couple of cousins were kind of paying in to maintain this land that was inherited by them. But as you can imagine, as each generation, there's a larger number of people. And so once it got to that generation, which was about 7 of them plus some cousins, or 6 of them plus cousins, the ability they were looking to sell the land, and they had somebody in mind. It just so happens that at that time I had been making it clear that I was looking to buy in Sierra Leone, and I had the cash money. This is in 2018, and so I bought the land from them. So yeah, that's that situation there. In Bo, the land that was purchased, the 5 acres of land, was bought from family, friends, distant cousins, third cousins of some sort. I did not know them personally. They knew my father. Somehow it got to him that they were looking for some cash and they wanted to sell land. So he came to me and told me about it. And I worked with my mother to buy that land. And then there's other land that was purchased and acquired from family friends. So yeah, generally it's people we kind of know. That's how we know it's available, and that's how we get the discounts we get. But if you're looking to buy land, I have been talking about this. I've talked about it time and time again. I'm not sure that I'm going to have people buy land through me, but I have been thinking about funneling people through to other people if you want to buy land, and you can buy it from a trusted source and make sure you go through the full process. And of course, that's what I do. I now have 3 conveyances that speak to land ownership. And so I know what the process is like, what's necessary, depending on where you're buying. So if you want to do that, you can hit me up for a consulting call. We can talk about it. Jada Faith is asking what's going on in Yenga. That's a good question. You know, I'm not hearing much about what's happening there. I know a young lady did a video about it recently, and I keep hearing about it. You know, they're saying it's the Guineas actually, you know, there was some contested land on the border, which, by the way, these European borders, right? Guinea is not prepared to leave Yenga peacefully. So apparently they stepped in and took on the space. I am going to do a live stream about this probably next Sunday, the live stream for specific to Sierra Leone and what's happening in Sierra Leone. Yesterday was Mother's Day, so, you know, I wanted to go live yesterday, but, you know, we just weren't able to go live. So we didn't go live yesterday. Sorry, I'm massaging my legs. I went for a run this morning and my legs are like killing me right now. You know, once you start to get to an age when you get sore, you get sore before the day's done. All right. Sorry. So if you see me going like this with my hands, I'm just like massaging my legs. So yeah, I think, you know, look, we're at time. It is past 10 o'clock. These hours, I'm still getting used to going live till 10 p.m. You know, I've been in the States for for over a year, and going live and ending at like 6 p.m. is just a different way to live. Now, my live streams are ending at 10 p.m. because of where I am. So, okay. I want to thank you guys all for joining. Thanks again to the members who have joined. Thanks for all the contributions to the conversation. You know, from the corrections to what the statement was, familiarity breeds content, or, you know, to Jazz jumping in there about entitled, Shiku mentioning obligation. I was having a little bit of a brain fart, as they say. You know, I'm doing 10 things at once while I'm in this country. Man, I'm doing a lot at once, and I'm trying to get it all done before I leave. Also, you can expect some interviews coming, tours and interviews with different people of substance here in country. You can hear from other people who've decided to move here, why they moved, and what they've learned from the move. You can hear more about companies and businesses that are here. If you're ever thinking about investing in businesses or starting a business, all of that stuff. Those interviews are going to be coming soon. So stay tuned to the channel. And with that, guys, I want to thank you all for watching. I will see you all on the next video. Stay tuned. We'll be back on Thursday. I'll be back with This Week in Africa with Gloria Ayo on Thursday, and we'll be bringing you this week's news around the continent. So stay tuned. With that, guys, thanks for watching. Oh, thank you, The Real Source, and thank you, Khadijah. I will see you guys all on the next video. All right, bye, guys.